City Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I'm going to talk about the Sequalitchew Trail repair first. We are mobilizing to make that repair. We've acquired materials and are prepared to do that next week. We have had a fair amount of email contact about some of the details of that. So we have put together a file which will be open to the public that shows the engineered plans, the land use application, which basically we have to go through like anybody else, the application to what we call the JARPA form, and just the details of that repair. This is a trail that gets a high level of activity even when it's closed, and which it has been, and it is something that we need to get on, and so we're prepared to do that next week unless we hear otherwise, but we're happy to meet with anybody from the public that wants to look at the details that we have available on record. We do own the property. It was a part of that 60 acres that we acquired from Quadrant. I'll remind the council that was gifted to the council, basically. We did assume an LID. That was a part of that, which was not, it was a sewer LID responsibility, but that parcel included the Wilkes Observatory and that area above the bluff, so we certainly got value for that acquisition. We have a public safety issue. We're going to move ahead and make that repair. We're happy to talk to anybody, show them the details, and they'll take any questions you may have.
Council questions on this item. Councilmember Westman?
Yes, when a property owner gifts property to the city, does the city perform any sort of inspection or any sort of conditions upon which the gift is actually accepted? I have heard that on occasions that when property is gifted, many times it is not up to code, or there's some sort of deficiency or items of that nature that are simply passed on. And there has been, I receive a lot of emails and a lot of concern having to do that this particular trail and in that particular area where the washout occurred, it was not up to code, and yet the city assumed, received the property, took it on, and we had an act of nature that did cause the washout and all this, and now we are stuck with having to provide the cost of having it repaired. And all I'm asking is, do we do an internal inspection, investigation to ensure that what we receive is something that is appropriate, where it's not attached with a lot of liability?
Mr. McDonald or Mr. Vick?
Well, we get a title report. We're familiar with the property. I'll remind the council that the initial transfer agreement for this property, which was not the title transfer, that agreement we entered into over a year ago. I'm not exactly sure how long ago it was, but it was quite a long time ago. And the issue here is, could we have known the condition of the culverts that were along that trail? And I think the short answer to that is that perhaps we could have made some assumptions about some of the culverts, but it is a little bit much to expect that we would have been able to anticipate this washout, and I'll just leave it at that. You assume a certain amount of responsibility. It is buyer beware, and we had something happen to us shortly after we acquired the property that we would have liked to have had happen a week before we acquired it, but it was a critical piece of property, and it took a long time to get to the point where we actually had title transfer, and so I'll leave it at that.
Councilmember Westman?
Along with that, two follow-up questions. Number one, what's the final cost, or I should say estimated final cost, for the repair along the specifications that's in the folder that you were talking about? And then secondly, what are the justifications for pulling those funds out of a designated fund of the budget?
I'll let Peter address less than $20,000. The engineering was about $7,000, and we're going to do the repairs ourselves. So there is a cost estimate in the file here, but the whole package will be less than $20,000. It will be paid for out of a stormwater fund, which it is an issue. It does have an impact on a stream, and so that's kosher.
I don't have much more to add to that. The stormwater fund is a stormwater and surface water fund, shortened up to call it stormwater fund, but it does deal with surface water management, which this is a drainage culvert picking up groundwater and transferring it over as part of that management.
Councilmember Graham?
Thank you. Yeah, two questions just for my clarification. One, what was the time frame from actually transferring the property to the incident? That's the first question.
It was a matter of weeks. I mean, I think I'm guessing, but I think it was not more than 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. And with Quadrant being a good neighbor, what was their response when we approached them about, or did we approach them about sharing some of the costs or something else, or is this something that we initiated absorbing entirely within our own budget?
We did not ask them to bear the cost.
Have they offered to
No,
share any of the cost?
they have not.
Do you plan on asking them to share some of the costs?
No, unless you tell me to. I mean, understand that we acquired that property as a gift. And I mean, with the mayor, I said, you know, I acquire a piece of property and a tree falls down the next day, I got to cut up the tree. You know, it's unfortunate, but that's kind of the boat that we're in.
Mr. McDonald, I'm going to ask you to ask the question of them and then give them the chance to say yes or no, and then come back and let us know what the response is.
I will do that. I will mention, however, we also are in the process of talking with them about acquiring a piece of property related to the mission site. So we have something on the table that we haven't yet acquired that is a high priority for the city. So I mean, these things become trade-offs, and I think that you ought to think about that before I approach them.
Council comments? Did you have any follow-up to that, Councilmember Graham? Okay. We can talk offline.